Well, unfortunately, Luca Kamani doesn't have a runner in the Britannia, but there are 30 of them. One is Zato, Ted Durkin, 2 Upper Hand, Tony Culhane, through 3 is Art Market, Neil Callan. Leazal, the first set of Hamden Al Maktoum's colours, Richard Hills. Military Cross, Kieran Fallon. Desert Realm is the mount of Joe Fanning. Dark Islander, Eddie O'Hearn. Dune Light, Philip Robinson. Giganticus is Michael Hills. Kalankari is Paul Hannigan. Down to Guest Connections, Craig Williams. Then Dingaan, Chris Catlin. Dubai Typhoon is Richard Mullen. Regal Royale, Mick Cannan. Pepper Tree Lane, Kevin Darley. Sir Gerard is Jamie Spencer. Crime Scene, Darryl Holland. Archerfield Links, Christophe Soumillon. Plum Pudding is Ryan Moore. Easy Air, Frankie Dettori. Champions Gallery, Richard Quinn. Gandor, Jimmy Fortune. Porters is Richard Hughes. Direct Debit is Robert Winston. Jumba Jakiba, Johnny Murta. Motta Carib is Martin Dwyer. Sapasius, Steve Drown. Smart Enough, Karen McAvoy. Master Pegasus, Alan Munro. And Bonnie Prince Blue is Willie Supple.
Well, this is a fascinating race, this Britannia, and I can imagine up and down the country there will be a lot of people sweating on this favourite, Sir Gerard. Check with your bookmakers on how many places there are. A majority are 4, but some like VC Bet, Cashman's, and particularly Stan James are 5 places. Now, they went 11 to 1 this morning, and you just dread to think what the liabilities are, with Yates having won and Prize Fights and the Racing Post having tipped them both. 11 to 2 now, it's halved in price, and this is a very, very big gamble developing around the country. Plum Pudding also extremely well back, 10 to 1 into 8 to 1. Really good support for that one, both on the track and away from the track, and those are the 2 springers in the market. A lot of other horses, of course, fancied, but you're going to get value if you fancy anything else other than this Sir Gerard and Plum Pudding, and hunt around. Look for those bookies that are offering 5 places, and that was very significant when you come to other horses here on this page like Kalankari, who's well fancied at 25 to 1, and horses like Direct Debit at 33 to 1. Master Pegasus also 33 to 1. Now, these are the rank outsiders, though a place would be a lovely win if you could get one of these in the frame. Desert Realm is 40s, Champions Gallery 40 to 1, and the rest, these are the 100 to 1 chances. So if you're betting a quarter of the odds, you're getting 25 to 1 if you can get in the frame with these. But the real story of this race is the gamble on Plum Pudding, the minor gamble on Plum Pudding. It's nothing in comparison to the move for Sir Gerard, now the 11 to 2 favourite.
There is Plum Pudding in the pink and black jacket, number 19 on the card, from a very low draw in store number 3, and ridden by Ryan Moore and trained by Richard Hannon, of course, who had gilded winning here yesterday and a few years ago, admittedly, but did win this race with a 100 to 1 chance. But Plum Pudding is second favourite, and seems to, normally one assumes with Richard Hannon horses they'll be better, as good as 2-year-olds as they are 3-year-olds. This one has seemed to become a much better 3-year-old.
Yeah, well, Richard has a lot of horses, and he tends to run them as 2-year-olds. Sometimes he runs them to get them handicapped, and other times they just don't find a level, and they improve as 3-year-olds over the winter time. But this, his last couple of runs improved a lot.
Here's the favourite, Sir Gerard, now into 5 to 1. Only had the 4 starts. Of course, the combination of Jamie Spencer and James Fanshawe won the big mile handicap for older horses yesterday with Cesare. And this one, similarly, has a low draw, stall number 2. Arguably unlucky last time when he lost at Haydock.
Was unlucky last time at Haydock, but before that one up at Beverley. Progressive young horse. Got one thing, a big thing in his favour. He's drawn on the stand side.
That's Sir Gerard then, all the way into 5 to 1 favourite at the moment.
Now the back.
And Giganticus then, a 3rd place at Newmarket on his 1 run so far this year. And like a few of these, he hasn't run for quite some time.
No. But it was a very tough race that he ran in at Newmarket. Similar level of form to this, tough event, but good run, and shouldn't move too far away. But despite the draw.
Yes, store number 29, right over on the far side is where he has to come from. Blue and white jacket, Richard Hills rides Leazal, who came to winning form for his trainer John Dunlop at Goodwood last time, just getting up on soft ground over a mile and a furlong. So that's certainly a different test to what he faces today.
Yeah, has run on faster ground, but I think the softer ground it wasn't really in his favour. Similar to Giganticus, but horse Barry Hills ran behind Leazal, all a very solid form.
Red, white and blue jacket Kieran Fallon, fresh from winning the Gold Cup, writes Military Cross, who was second at Epsom. We saw him last time out. The track certainly caused this horse a few problems that day because he hung markedly down the camber.
Yeah, he was on the outside. Kieran was having trouble as it turned in, and he just took time just to get himself organised. And then as the second bit of the camber goes in, as you see, the horse just can't handle it. He starts hanging down the camber. Track will suit him, ground will suit him. Hasn't got the best of draws out in the middle, but he's got a major chance here.
Comes from stall number 15, well put in his place by Stage Gift at Epsom, and up a few pounds in the handicap for it. But comes here in excellent form, and of course his stable, that of William Haggis, has already had that 25-1 chance Mont Etoile, who won the Ribblesdale Stakes earlier on. There is Christophe Sumer and rides Archerfield Links. The bad news, if you've backed this at home, is both unbeknownst to each other. Ray and I fancy this one.
Nice little horse. They had put 2 wins together last year and came out at Kempton early in the spring and absolutely sleuthed up there. Was made favourite for the 3-year-old Handblazer Cup at Sandown, and he came up with a problem. He tore a shoe off and a little bit of foot. Major fancy here and got a good draw.
Yep, he's going to come out of store number 12. Easy Air, Frankie Dettori rides. This has won twice at Lingfield, and he was runner-up there last time out. That was over 7 furlongs, so it's a little further to go today.
Yeah, that day Frank said that he possibly took it up. He was travelling well in the race, and he possibly took it up a little bit sooner than he wanted to, and the horse possibly had a little bit in front. Very, very solid chance here.
And let's have a look at him in action. Of course, this on the artificial surface at Lingfield, the all-weather there. How's that going to compare to the sort of turf ground he's going to get today? Or can you make a comparison between the two?
Not really, but I think he's going to be as effective on one as the other. The ground, you'd think the ground in Lingfield rides is sort of fast ground, that's what everyone says, so it shouldn't really inconvenience him.
So that is one of his runs, and of course he comes from Ed Dunlop stable, which had Ouija board successful in the big race yesterday.
This is a nationwide gamble around the country. I've just spoken to Fred Doan, who's got over 500 betting shops around the country, and he's told me that his firm have laid this favourite to lose well over £200,000. So around the country, you're getting the feeling that there are a lot of people cheering on Sir Gerard here. 5-1, clear favourite. Plum Pudding is into 8-1. It's been bigger that as well. That is also a big plunge. But this Sir Gerard, everyone I'm speaking to, all the bookmaking firms are coming up to me and telling me we've laid this to lose £200,000. I think this is one of the biggest gambles of the year in a big handicap, both either on the flat or even on the jumps. I think this is a plunge horse, and well, around the country, Sir Gerard will be what people are cheering on, especially those firms that have laid the 5 places.
Well, this time last year, Mostasha was the 130 favourite, won this race, the Britannia. But if you go back through recent years, 8-1, 16-1, 25-1, 14-1. There was a 4-1 favourite won it as well. But you can get big price winners, Willie. You like the favourite, but you like the second favourite even more.
Well, I've heard about Plum Pudding. He's a horse that has been improving all the time. He's won his last race, and since then, on the gallops at Richard Hannon's, they think he's improved even again. So they're hoping that they're in front of the handicapper, and possibly he will have to be in front of the handicapper to win such a race as this with all these runners. But look at the draw.
He's going to be coming out of stall 3, and right next to him, the favourite Sir Gerard. They've both got perfect draws on the evidence of the week so far. And there is Sir Gerard with Jamie Spencer on board. What a great week he's having, and James Fanshawe as well. You know, if you're following people in form, Jamie Spencer and James Fanshawe, not a bad team to be behind.
Sir Gerard's waiting to go forward into the stalls. There's quite a way through loading up so far. Dark Island are just nearest to us going forward. There's a Military Cross already in. We've got a lot of runners in this race. If you're on board one that goes in early, is that any sort of disadvantage, or does it make no difference if you stand still for a long time?
If the horse behaves itself in there, it's not really a disadvantage, but you don't want to be in there for at least 5 minutes, because it takes a long time to get 30 runners in, and especially if one's hanging away back near the tape back there, it can take a long time, you know.
Well, there aren't too many more to go. The blanket, I think, there is on Smart Enough. Sir Gerard is waiting to be one of the last as that one backs away, but we're going to give plenty of time to Jim.
Right, that's Smart Enough with the blanket on, as Barty was saying. Goes forward now.
Enough goes forward, and one of the last looks like being Pepper Tree Lane for the Britannia. Loaded up very well indeed. Upper Hand is restive in one of the middle stalls. In stall 21, as the blindfolds are removed, the handlers move away. That could be just about it. Long hold, but they're off and racing for the Britannia. Porter's was a little slow in the centre, and they're going to split into, well, only really two are staying over on the far side. Racing solo, Giganticus is over there, and also looks like the other one might be Bonnie Prince Blue, but all of the others are coming stand side. Art Market in the centre shows up pretty well, and also Kalankari. Plum Pudding is handy as well down the centre in company with June Light. They're being tracked through by Easy Air. Then comes behind these Super Susu's quite handy, the red cap of Desert Realm, and Pepper Tree Lane, who's towards the outside of the group. Reading back to Smart Enough, who's in midfield. Easy Air tracks these towards the fence in company with Dark Islander. Midfield at this stage for Crime Scene ahead of Upper Hand. Jumbo Jaquibas towards the rear of that group. Sir Gerard is quite well back in that rear group in company as well with Porters. Over on the far side, well, it's a solo there for Bonnie Prince Blue and Giganticus, and currently they are behind the main body of the field, who make their way down towards the final three. The grey Smart Enough with June Light and Plum Pudding. Punched along Art Market, Kalankari. Upper Hand improves, going well. Dark Islander and also Easy Air are looking for runs up the fence. Over on the far side, they are at a touch there. They're quite well behind, so they make their way down inside the two. Giganticus over on the far side has broken away from that group. June Light and Upper Hand with Kalankari. Also right up this near side is Smart Enough, and staying on quite stoutly as Dark Islander. Inside the final furlong and a half, Smart Enough still leads. Down the outside is Upper Hand. Between the pair boxing on is Kalankari. Sir Gerard has got out and he's beginning to fly. Sir Gerard is picking them up, really motoring home in the Britannia, and it is all over. Sir Gerard comes home clear, a bunch for second, possibly just going the way of Easy Air. Regal Royale, Upper Hand, Smart Enough are involved from Jumbo Jaquiba, and behind those was Master Pegasus.
Pepper Tree Lane will be one of the last over on the far side. That's Upper Hand, who's rearing high. Tony Culhane put his hand on the upright. Now they're set. Stand for the Britannia. Oh, a couple lungs there. And they're racing. Slow into stride was Porter's. Very slow there, going fast Dune Light. They're splitting now. In fact, some of them are heading right up the centre here. Smart Enough is showing plenty of early dash, and also up there is Dune Light. Most of them, though, are grouping up on the near side. They're all crossing over here. In fact, there are only two left over on the far side as they settle down. And over on the far side, Bonnie Prince Blue is there, and Giganticus is the other one. On the near side there, Dune Light is up there with Kalankari and also Sir Gerard. Also there is Smart Enough, and right there in the centre as well too on the near side is Serpasius in company there with Art Market. Further back in the field is Desert Realm and then Pepper Tree Lane. But two distinct groups and only two over on the far side, both trained by Barry Hills. Over on the far side it's Bonnie Prince Blue and also Giganticus. Let's cross to the near side now, and up there is Smart Enough in company with Dune Light, then Plum Pudding. Dark Islander running a big race from Kalankari. Also there is Upper Hand as they race now onto the course proper. They got 2 furlongs left to go in the Britannia, and it's Dune Light, Kalankari, Upper Hand and Smart Enough, Dark Islander and Plum Pudding. Just behind them, battling on his Guest Connections. Further back in the field then, Sir Gerard is running on now, but Upper Hand gets the upper hand now inside the furlong. Being cut down all the while though by Sir Gerard on the far side. Sir Gerard going home best of all to win the Britannia in very good style. Going to be a photo for second, flashing home Easy Air there to be in a photo with Upper Hand, and Regal Royale also flew. Just behind them was the grey Smart Enough. Further back Kalankari. Last to finish is Desert Realm. But what a meeting it is for trainer James Fanshawe and jockey Jamie Spencer, because Sir Gerard has been produced with a perfectly timed run to come home and to win this. It's a blanket finish for second, third and fourth. That's Sir Gerard well clear. Easy Air gets it second on the near side, just ahead of Upper Hand. Now fourth, that's very tight. On the top of the screen, just hold it there. Top of the screen, the white, Regal Royale, and the grey there in the centre is Smart Enough. Just behind them is Jumbo Jaquiba. Desert Islander back there in that Dark Islander, I should say, in that dark jacket. Then Guest Connections, Dune Light, Porters, who was slow into stride. Forget about that run. Just behind them is Plum Pudding. He was up there with a chance. Crime Scene is next. And then a gap to Dingaan, followed by Leazal, and then Archerfield Lynx, who couldn't get into it. Zato is next. Then Champions Gallery started from 30, ended up on this side. Further back is Military Cross, Giganticus. Further back Gandor, then Pepper Tree Lane, and back behind them is Direct Debit. So there's a real problem here, because all jockeys there's a couple still coming. That's Motta Rakeb. But there is a problem here, because of the 30 runners, 28 of them came to the stand side. Only 2 stayed on the far side. They were the Barry Hills trained pair, Bonnie Prince Blue and also Giganticus. Now the result officially, here it is. First, number 16, Sir Gerard. Second is number 20, Easy Air. Third, number 2, Upper Hand. And fourth is number 28, Smart Enough, which means Regal Royale is 5th. So that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Jamie Spencer and James Fanshawe, they're the 2 that are having such a good Royal Ascot. Now, as I was saying before, all the jockeys are convinced that this is so much better being on the stands rail, that they all came over here. 2 lengths and a neck the distances. Let's just check where those came from. Sir Gerard came from stall number 2, Easy Air from 5, Upper Hand from 21. Now that's extraordinary to end up on this side. And Smart Enough started from 14, but was always up there. Regal Royale was just behind them, starting from 8. 9-2 favourite, 14, 66 and 16. But when the jockeys are so convinced that there is a bias, and there's no doubt, there's going to have to be something done to correct that bias. And it'll be interesting to see what Chris Stickles and his team come up with. But there's the winner. That's Sir Gerard.
Well, let's have a look at where he came from as we go to our wire cam view, which means we'll see the whole of the grandstand in the background, as well as Jim was saying, just the 2 staying on the far side. The whole of the rest of the field bunched over on what they knew was the more favoured ground, whether it's faster, whether the camber is slightly different. Mark Johnston said he walked it this morning, and he thinks there's more of an uphill tug on the far rail than the stands rail, so he doesn't think it's a watering problem. He thinks it's the lay of the land, as it were. But Sir Gerard coming sluicing through this field, it is quite an achievement for a 3-year-old colt. A lot of these, they're all 3-year-old colts, and a lot of them are unexposed, and it's difficult to know how good they may be, but if they come and win the Britannia, they usually improve, and this horse with this sort of speed will go on to better things, will he?
Well, last time he was beaten at Head Up Park on very soft ground. Obviously he doesn't like that. Being by Marjo, that is very possible, but he's definitely an improving sort of colt here. He did that well, and it's the way he actually quickens in the last furlong. It's the impressive thing about his victory, because he looks as though he just could go a little bit further. He's a horse that possibly could win a Cambridgeshire, or he might even go into black type.
Well, let's have a look at the moves that Jamie Spencer had to make sure that he got the run that he wanted, because as you can see, he's only got about 4 horses behind him, and a wall of horses in front of him just angles out to the right, and luckily it's the horses on the right of the picture as we look at it that are still going well. None of the ones in the middle of the course are going that well, so having made the move, he had nothing left in front of him. And he's going to come here. Great runs, actually, one should say. I mean, Easy Air has run on very well for Frankie. Upper Hand has run a huge race. He's the one in green colours there, carrying 9 stone 6, carrying much more weight than the winner. It's a big run from Upper Hand. That is a
fantastic good run, and you look to see which stall he came out of. He came out of stall 21, so that makes it more credible at the way he's ran his race today. But today, it's Sir Gerard's day.
So Gerard and Jamie Spencer come back to the winner's enclosure now. Great victory for them. Britannia, one of the most competitive handicaps for the entire year. Young horses, many of them with untapped potential. It's pretty fair to say you've got to be probably a listed potential, maybe at least listed, if not group class, to actually win this race, because it's so competitive, and a lot of these horses will end up doing something later on in their careers. There's Jamie Spencer, just talking to Happy Connections. Sir Gerard is owned by Miss Roseanne Galligan. And looking at the flags there, I wonder where she comes from.
We just keep poking away. Some horse. We're already halfway there.
As Jamie said, some horse, and there he is, a handsome horse too, by Marjou, runner-up in the Derby. Marjou, he was a good type. Well, Jamie Spencer's the winning jockey. What a Royal Ascot he's having, and here he is talking to Rishi Prasad.
He's riding like a champion. Jamie, you just seem to be getting a lot of things right.
Yeah, he's a lovely horse, and he should have won last time at Haydock. But I think he learned a lot from the race. The first time he got a couple of taps at Haydock, and he knuckled down today really good, and like he was all out in the end. He was getting tired towards the finish, but that's, he's a handicapper, and it's just nice that the race has come off good for James and the team.
He was getting tired towards the end, but the ground he made up to the eye, he did it very easily.
I made up a nice bit of ground, but sometimes it makes it look you're going quicker than probably you are, because they're stopping from 2 out in front. We went a good pace, and look, I took the easy route when it was coming. I was following Michael Cannan, and I just felt that it mightn't open up as much as I'd have liked to, so moved him out, and he stayed on nicely the last couple of furlongs, and I'm just really pleased for the owners.
How much of a wave are you riding at the moment?
What do you mean riding a wave?
Riding you see, everything seems to be going, yeah.
Yeah, no, look, it's great. The first race didn't go right, but look, if you go on the outside every race, you don't win, and the first race just things didn't go right. The gaps didn't open, and that's racing. But when you're right, the Connections I'm riding for are very understanding people, and it's like this horse got beat last time, but there's always another day.
Just take 1 second, Jamie, and just look at the big screen. We're going to show the final few closing stages, and just tell us your thoughts from here in.
Yeah, look, I had to move out. He's making up a lot of ground, and when you're in the middle of the course, it's hard to get something to get dead aim at, but he really flew when he got through, and yeah, he's just, he's still a baby. I think there's more to come. Ask that fella, he'll tell you more.
Jamie, you better go and weigh in. James, well done again. Another Royal Ascot winner for you.
Well, I'll probably never repeat this. It's been a great week, and he's always looked like a nice horse. As Jamie said, he was unlucky at Haydock last time, but Jamie gave him a great ride today, because when everyone's trying to go for that stands rail, you're going to get trouble in running, and he fortunately got a smooth passage.
What are the odds in being able to win 2 handicaps like the one you did with Cesare yesterday and this race? I mean, it must be a mighty task.
Well, sometimes God's on your side in racing, and sometimes he's not, and this week he's been definitely on my side, and it's been marvellous, And
I read in the paper today you're saying Cheltenham and Royal Ascot winners are what really inspire you.
Yeah, I think it's what it's all training about. Obviously the bad ones are often more difficult to train than the good ones, but we all try and make a decent job of the good ones, and this has been a great week. Actually, this horse was bought, they only wanted a potentially Cheltenham horse, but I don't think this horse will be going there. I think he's a bit too clever. Well, he's got too much speed, and he's a progressive horse,
Where we might see him at Glorious Good winning a race or two?
I don't know. So, yeah, he's running 2 big handicaps. There's only 3. Just go back home and see how things are. But he's classy.
Well done.
Thanks, Rishi.
A colossal gamble around the country, and Sir Gerard ending up the 9-2 favourite, winning in the end very easily, from Easy Air second at 14-1, Upper Hand third at 66-1, and Smart Enough, and there was some each way money for that this morning at 16-1. But this is one of the big gambles of the year, if not the biggest. Sir Gerard, 9-2 favourite, winning the Britannia.
Well, the 2 leading jockeys of the week, Kieran Fallon on the right, Jamie Spencer on the left, in conversation. Kieran succeeded Jamie as jockey to Ballydoyle, but Jamie leading him at the moment and standing so far this week with a treble yesterday and another win today.